Hello everyone! I hope you're all staying healthy and staying safe. Today I thought we might go back to Trashy romance novel. If you'll recall, Delaney Brooks is the author of The Queen's Surrogate, which is a trashy romance novel, and she and her best friend Gemma are on their way to Scotland for the filming of the 8-part miniseries adaptation of The Queen's Surrogate. So this is actually kind of an ode to celebrity crushes all over, and since we're all in isolation right now, celebrity crushes are about as good as any of our love lives are getting right now. I know that's about the extent of mine, which actually, if you want, here's a funny story. So I have a lot of celebrity crushes, right? Like Zachary Levi, Matthew Gray Gubler, Harry Styles. I mean, just crushes all over the place. But one of my favorite stories goes back to a couple Christmases ago. My sister and I were at the mall, and for some reason we were talking about Zoolander. And we were talking about the walk-off scene with David Bowie and how he goes, "Disqualified." Well, as we're talking, I all of a sudden said, you know, I've always had kind of a weird secret crush on him. And my sister goes, "Who? David Bowie?" And I said, "No, Owen Wilson." And it's actually true. I think I realized I had a crush on him like when I was in the 8th grade. I think I was like 13. And that was back when Blockbuster was still around. And I would go to Blockbuster and I would rent Owen Wilson movies and sneak them into my room and watch them. It was like my dirty little secret that I had a crush, a giant crush on Owen Wilson. And so now, after that discussion, my sister and I to this day refer to him not as Owen Wilson, but as my crush, Owen Wilson. So if we're watching a movie with him, like Night at the Museum, or even if there's like a commercial for cars, my sister will go, "Oh look, it's your crush, Owen Wilson." So yeah, he's probably, oh, and then once my, one of my best friends, she's a CPA, and he goes through them, I guess, they're his accountants, and she texted me one day going, "You'll never guess, Owen Wilson came in today. I saw him, and I thought of you." So, yeah, a lot of celebrity crushes here, but Owen Wilson has my heart for some reason. If you're seeing this, Owen, I love you, and I live in Dallas, so next time you're here, once this quarantine's over, give me a call. Anyway, welcome back to Trashy Romance Novel. This one, by the way, was written for Colin Farrell. I'm ridiculous, guys. Okay. Chapter 2. Our first glimpse of Scotland is a lovely one. The skies are gray and a glittering silvery mist dances on fields of lush green. I've seen gray skies and green meadows back home in Texas, but nothing quite so whimsical as Edinburgh's real-life fairy tale setting. As my eyes seek to take in as much of the magic as they can through the tiny airplane window, I have to remind myself that I'll be spending the next 2 months here. I'll have plenty of time to gaze and wander. A young man and woman are waiting inside the airport, holding a sign that reads Lorelei Dubois. I don't know why, but seeing that sign sends a nasty shock through my already jet-lagged system. As Gemma and I approach them, I struggle to calm my frazzled nerves. "You've done this before," I remind myself. "You've met people from all over as Lorelei Dubois. This is no different. You're going to be fine." Oh, and remember, Delaney Brooks, her pen name is Lorelei Dubois, and that's what she's going by in Scotland. No one knows her as Delaney Brooks except for Gemma and her family. "Hi," I pause to clear my throat. "I'm Lorelei, and this is my friend Gemma Price. I'm her assistant," Gemma clarifies. "It's a pleasure," the young man smiles. Oh, and again, I'm not doing accents, even though I am 25% Scottish, as you can probably tell by the hair. I can't do accents, y'all. It's not pretty. "It's a pleasure," the young man smiles. It's a sweet smile, warm and comforting. "I'm Andrew Campbell. This is Louise Thompson. We're Mr. Reynard's assistants. Carl Reynard is the surrogate's executive producer. It's nice to meet you, I tell them. Meanwhile, Gemma is all but wiping the drool from her chin over Andrew and his curly golden locks. Oh my God, I love your accent, she gushes. I hesitate to remind her that Andrew is probably at least 5 or 6 years younger than we are. Then again, I doubt she'd care. She's been crushing on that one kid from the Kind of September for years now. Oh, and that's a reference to boy bands. My boy band is called The Kind of September. I'm sorry, this reading is I'm going stir crazy, y'all. So think of this as kind of like an author's audio commentary. You get behind the scene little facts. Thank you, Andrew smiles politely. He's probably used to American women fawning over him. We're to ask you if there's anything you need. Coffee? Food? You're probably starving, Louise says. I could go for some breakfast, Gemma says. Lorelei? Knife save, Gem. We travel in a sleek black car to the heart of Edinburgh, passing meadows of yellow flowers and purple thistles, buildings that look like churches, churches that look like castles, and even a Starbucks. But when I catch my first glimpse of Edinburgh Castle atop a grassy green hill overlooking the road into the city, my heart leaps into my throat. What must it be like to live here? To pass this grand, elegant, enchanting castle every day, like it isn't a scene straight out of your wildest dreams, or your favorite romance novel. I don't think I could stand it. I think it would truly be too overwhelming. A fleeting glimpse is enough to take my breath away. It's only then that I notice Gemma digging through my backpack. Where's your camera? She asks frantically. It should be in there somewhere, I answer. Probably buried beneath the laptop, the power cord, the fancy UK adapter so that I can actually plug my computer in over here, my notebook, my day planner, my water bottle, and the 5 different books that I brought to read on the plane, but of course I didn't even read one of them because the plane had little individual televisions for each passenger. Why do you need it? Because I'm your assistant. I need to document our trip, and because my camera broke last month and I've been too lazy to buy a new one. You know you can order one off of Amazon, right? I ask her. I'd have even let you use my Prime account. You could have had it in like 2 days. Gemma glares at me, the same way she always does when I go out of my way to explain the obvious. Don't worry about the camera now, Louise advises from the front passenger seat. We'll make sure you don't miss out on anything. And we can take you to buy a new camera if you'd like, Andrew grins and catches Gemma's eye in the rearview mirror. I guess he did enjoy her flirting after all. We haven't even been here an hour and she's already scoring with the Scottish guys. I guess I'm not really surprised though. Gemma is blonde and gorgeous and curvy, with a killer sense of style and the confidence to match. Men gravitate not only to her bombshell good looks, but her energetic and outgoing personality. She once explained to me that the only thing that men love more than a girl with nice boobs is attention from a girl with nice boobs. Not exactly Shakespeare, but she may be onto something. Guys have never flocked to me the way they flock to her, and my boobs are nothing to sneeze at if I do say so myself. But then I don't put myself out there the way she does. I don't normally go out on my way to talk to guys unless they talk to me first. I don't want to say that I'm your stereotypical writer with the mousy brown hair and manic pixie dream girl quirky personality, but I'm definitely an introverted brunette who spends most of her time reading books or writing books, or reading fan fiction that people have written about my books. By the way, can I just tell you how shocked I was to discover that those readers have taken my smutty books and made them even smuttier? I've read stories about my characters that make my own work seem mild, boring even. I honestly don't understand why anyone would bother paying for the Queen Surrogate when they can read all that glorious trash online for free. And of course, when I say trash, I mean it in the best possible sense. After a traditional Scottish breakfast at a small diner called Coat of Arms, I've actually eaten there by the way, it's really good. We step back out onto the busy street and I find myself glancing around the city. Looking for something in particular? Andrew asks. Where's the Elephant House? I ask. Gemma closes her eyes and sighs. You do not need to pay homage at the birthplace of Harry Potter. Actually, yes, I do. This is very important to me. Louise laughs. Andrew checks his watch. Unfortunately, we're supposed to have you back for the final read-through by 2 o'clock. Since it's about a 3-hour drive to the location, we're going to be cutting it close as it is. But don't worry, you will be able to come back. And you can build your shrine to the boy who lived then, Gemma assures me. You know, you're awfully sassy for a personal assistant, I remark. I keep you humble. Oh yeah, right. Within 10 minutes of our journey to the Highlands, Gemma has passed out. I guess those 3 cups of Scottish coffee didn't do her very much good. I should probably try to get some rest too, but how can I when this extraordinary new country is passing by before my very eyes? If I fall asleep, I might miss something. Growing up, I always dreamed of traveling, but my family never had the money. We'd take the occasional trip to the beach or drive down to San Antonio for a weekend at the Alamo. But I wanted more. I wanted to see things that no one had ever seen before, climb the tallest mountains, and dive into the deepest seas. The older I got, however, the more I came to realize that those were pretty lofty goals, especially for a girl who couldn't run more than a few meters without having an asthma attack, and who had a crippling fear of water deeper than an inflatable kiddie pool. That's when I turned to writing. Writing, in a way, provided me with a whole new way to see the world. In fact, it did me one better. It allowed me to create my own world, one without limits. My stories became my own personal getaway, my secret escape from anything the real world could throw at me, from unpaid student loans to bad city traffic to memories of the it that happened back in high school. "Oh," Louise says, breaking me out of my trance, I thought you were both asleep back there." "Can't sleep. There's too much to see." "Is this your first trip to Scotland?" "First trip anywhere, really. I know it sounds weird, but after my books hit all the bestsellers list, I didn't go on any crazy spending sprees. I paid off my student loans, paid my parents back for all the financial support they've given me since I became a legal adult, and bought myself a house. True, I did quite a bit of traveling around the United States for book signings, but this is my first time overseas, and I'm determined to savor every millisecond." "And what do you think?" Andrew asks me. "It's captivating." "I bet it's beautiful back where you come from," Louise says. "Not like this," I tell them. "I'm not sure if anything can compare to this." "So are you looking forward to filming?" Louise asks me. "I am. I think I'm also a little nervous, though. I've never been a part of anything like this before, so I really don't know what to expect," I explain. "It's a lot of work, but a lot of fun," Andrew says. "Everyone on set is just great. We've been working with the actors a few weeks now, read-throughs and rehearsals and such, and they all seem really to be enjoying themselves." "Really? That's good to know. I'd hate for any of them to take one look at the script that I helped to write and instantly regret, everything. Especially Matthew Kent. Because let's face it, we're probably going to get married." Okay, that is not even remotely true. I'll be lucky if he gives me more than 2 minutes of his beautiful British time. But it's the way a fangirl's mind works. Speaking of fangirling, I hope he doesn't actually read his Twitter mentions because I've tagged him in more embarrassing posts than I can even count. "Oh yes, it's a wonderful script. Very scandalous," Louise grins. "And I think it's actually going to be a very beautiful series, aesthetically speaking. The costumes, the actors, the setting." She's right. I can't imagine a place more beautiful than Scotland, or a man more beautiful than Matthew Kent. But I'll just keep that to myself. God, maybe I need to get drunk before I meet him. I've been trying to come up with some sort of surefire plan to prevent me from embarrassing myself in front of him, but every scenario I imagine ends with either humiliation, heartbreak, or his withdrawal from the series. And then everyone would be royally pissed at me because then they would have to recast the part and viewers around the world would have to settle for a King Malcolm who is significantly less hot than Matthew Kent. It would probably go to someone really generic looking, and then the show would suck because, let's face it, Corinne betting King Malcolm is kind of the point of the entire series. Maybe I shouldn't speak to Matthew Kent at all. Then I can remain a mystery. Men like women who are mysteries, right? And if I don't speak, then I don't have to worry about embarrassing myself and ruining the whole production. As the hours pass, we draw ever closer to our destination at our primary film site, Dunedar Castle. Due to its obscure location and modest size, Dunedar Castle is often passed over by tourists seeking more famous landmarks, such as Loch Ness or Eilean Donan. Because it brings in so little revenue, the owners have barely been able to afford to keep up the castle's maintenance. That's why, when the producers of the Surrogate series reached out with an offer to restore the castle to its former glory and use it as the set for the show, the owners happily accepted. Dunedar Castle, by the way, is not real. I made it up, and now I hope I did the research right, because I wanted it to mean something, and roughly translate it from the little bits of Gaelic that I researched. It's supposed to roughly translate to Fortress of the Sky. So if someone out there knows Gaelic, if someone out there is watching and you're Scottish and you're thinking, no, you silly American girl, that's completely wrong, I apologize. But That's what I was going for. Now, as we drive straight through the heart of the Scottish Highlands, I feel my breath once again catching in my throat, my heart fluttering in my chest. Not because of our impending arrival at Dunedar, but because I can't bring myself to believe that the world outside my window is real. I've seen images of the Highlands, of course, but nothing could have prepared me for their emerald majesty, for the absolute sense of awe and wonder that I now feel, beholding them with my own eyes. For the first time in my life, words actually fail me. How can I presume to describe these beckoning mountains, these hidden rivers, these misty gray skies with mere words, when even a photograph can't do them justice? I don't realize that I'm crying until Louise reaches back with a tissue in her hand. "Thank you," I whisper and wipe my eyes. "Something to behold, isn't it?" she asks. I don't know how I've lived my whole life without this place. And I mean it, with absolute sincerity. I mean it. Next is a quick excerpt from The Queen's Surrogate, which is the trashy romance novel that Delaney wrote. In the country, every day is pretty much the same. My brothers and I rise with the sun to tend to our duties around the farm. My eldest brother, Barton, is in charge of any task that requires strength. He repairs the roof, collects firewood, and occasionally he escapes into the nearby woods to hunt. He's a tall, handsome man with brown hair and kind blue eyes. He will make any woman a fine husband, and there are more than a few in the village hoping to catch his eye. My second brother, Farley, handles the family resources and finances. He is neither strong nor tall, but he is crafty. He resembles our mother in every sense that they share the same golden hair and pointed features. Farley, in a way, has always reminded me of a fox, sly and cunning, with clever eyes. When we were children, he would tease me constantly, hiding my possessions and tricking me into believing silly things that a little common sense would instantly disprove. And then there's Hugo. Poor Hugo isn't very skilled at anything in particular, but he has a good heart and has endured far more than his share of jaunts and jeers in his time. He is only 10 months my senior, and we are responsible for the simple everyday tasks that keep the household running smoothly. Cooking, cleaning, tending the horses. Hugo is not handsome, but he is soft in a way that neither Barton nor Farley is, both in body and in spirit, and our parents have always been proud of him. They have always been proud of all of us, even me, their youngest child and only daughter. Today begins like any other spring day. I wake at dawn as I always do. I feed and water the chickens, the pigs, and the horses. I collect the fresh eggs. Then I wash my hands and my face before joining my mother and Hugo in the kitchen. After breakfast, I clean the dishes, and then before the sun rises too high in the sky, Hugo and I head out to the gardens. We've only just begun our work when we are approached by one of His Majesty's royal messengers. He rides up on the back of a silky brown horse, far stronger and handsomer than any of our meager steeds. The man himself is tall, strong, and has the look of a knight. For all I know, he may very well be. I rarely venture beyond the boundaries of our farm. I have almost no exposure to townsmen, let alone messengers of the king himself. "Good day, my lady," he greets me. To Hugo, he simply nods. "Good day, sir," I answer breathlessly, taken by his very presence. He's an older gentleman, not extraordinarily handsome by any means, but he is striking. "Is this your property?" "No, sir, our father's. Shall I fetch him for you?" But that isn't necessary. Our father, who had been working in the field, saw the stranger ride up, and has come to see for himself what business he brings. "Are you the master?" the rider addresses our father. "I am, John Fletcher. This is my son, Hugo, and my daughter, Corinne." "A real beauty, to be sure. And it is of that matter that I have been sent to speak. There is to be a tournament. In 2 weeks' time, every maiden of eligible age is invited to participate in the event, the winner of which will be vastly rewarded." If you'd like to read the rest of Trashy Romance Novel, it is available on Kindle Unlimited. You can also buy it on Kindle for I think it's like $4. Anyway, y'all, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and go watch a movie with Owen Wilson in it. Might just cheer you up.